What is up, y'all? We're back with another one. Whatever time it is, I don't know. It's late here today as we're recording, but welcome to another episode of After the Dark podcast with David.
And Kayla.
And we're both busy people, but we have a lot to talk about this week, obviously. And I want to start with our traditional segment, and we have a couple new segments we're going to get into. We got to start with what wellness check and see how we're doing. So I'm gonna start with you, Kayla. It's ladies first. I started last time first. So what do you have to talk about? What's been going on with you this last week?
Yeah, just been busy as usual. Last weekend, I traveled up to Pennsylvania. For those that don't know, I live south of Baltimore, so not that long of a drive, but hung out with some friends that I met at a previous workspace. So we were on the go all weekend last week. Then I jumped back into the work setting and then jumped out of the work setting. My friend from New York is visiting. We also kind of met up in Raleigh when both of us were there too. So we went to the Nationals game yesterday. They scored a whopping 0 runs. And we went to the Washington Spirit game today because we're both North Carolina Courage fans, and they also lost. So it was just a great big weekend of losing.
That's a tough week. That's tough. Like, man, we couldn't even get one. We couldn't get one like
No.
game. Nothing. Just what are the odds? That is insane. So also, you have a birthday trip coming up. Talk a little bit about that.
I do. That is at the end of July, so still a couple weeks away. But I am going down to Myrtle Beach for 4 days.
Myrtle Beach is
Um,
always fun.
Yes, it will be my second big trip with my boyfriend. Shout out Nathan, what's up, man? And we are
Shout out
going on our
Nathan.
first trip ever together. Actually, this weekend coming up. It was not my plan to be busy 3 weekends in a row, but here we are. We're living our best life. But we are going out. Flying into Missouri and then going to all 3 games of the Kansas City Royals and whatever you want to call them, athletics over the weekend. Um, some of you are probably wondering why we had a segment on the athletics because who cares? Me, because I'm an A's fan.
Oh my
um,
God. So actually, what's funny is, so I like to say during my time in Baltimore, for those who don't know, me and Kayla used to work at the same station, WBAL in Baltimore. I became and adopted the Orioles as my team because I didn't have like a baseball team to go to, but I did notice that they are playing the Athletics right now, and they got a W in the first game. I was like, what?
the
Did
A's
they?
did, and then the O's won yesterday, and then the A's won the series today.
Oh
So
my God. So I don't know what's going on for our O's this year. It's just I don't know if the injuries have just caught up with us, or if we're just in the pitch and rotations just not hasn't been figured out yet. But man, we looked like we had some promise. We wheeled off like 6 straight games, and it looked like it was gonna turn itself around. I was like, okay, I think as if that all the fans were like, well, if we can get to 500. We can we can see what the
yes,
second half of the season looks like.
and
But
we're
now I
playing
don't.
the A's. They suck. So,
Right, right.
but
And in my head, I'm thinking like, I mean, last time you did say like, "Hey, it's just not going well right now." So I'm like, okay, the O's should be able to like, get a couple games. Even if they drop one, you win the series. You got to win the series against the A's. It's the A's. But yeah, O's are they seem to be far worse right now than the O's. They seem to be than the A's right now. So that just tells you where we are in Baltimore in terms of sports.
it is
Oh
funny
man,
though because the game that the O's won this series, they started Charlie Morton, no
yeah.
relation. And he he it took him like 8 appearances before he won his first game. So
Hmm.
the fact that he was on the pitching mound and he gave up 4 runs in the first inning, but that's the game of the series they won, I was feeling some type of way. Could have swept and we didn't.
I'm saying. So Myrtle Beach, my God, and then baseball is just it's a bit. We're gonna turn the channel this year. I'm gonna close my eyes. It's gonna be tough. Hanging there, O's fans. All right. So obviously, me, it was tough this week for me. Kayla, I found a way to lose my work badge this week.
I did that my first week at
Oh
WBAL.
my,
So
oh my
good
God!
job.
And I was working on a story, and I'm like, it got posted, and I'm walking out, I'm feeling good, and I get to the metro, and I live in Silver Spring, Maryland. For those who know, it's kind of a suburb right outside of DC. And as I'm getting to the metro, it's like halfway home. I'm just consciously feeling for my basket. I'm about to put it in my bag for the day, and it's gone. And so I immediately panicked. So I'm like, what the hell? Like, where is this badge?
Mhm.
So this is how I get to work. This is like, it has my White House credentials on there. Like that's not good. It's not good at all. So I had to get off. Like the next stop, I had to get off the train. And we're 3 stops in. It's 6 stops for me to get back to Silver Spring. So I'm halfway home, and
Mhm.
I just have to hop off the train. It's really hot. And I text my coworkers. I'm like, "Hey, did anybody see a badge on my desk? Did I drop it?" Everyone's like, "No." I'm like, "Oh, crap." So I have to go all the way back to Union Station, go up, like basically retrace, like pretty much whoever's looking at me is probably looking. It's like, why is this guy looking sporadic? Like he lost the cat. Like literally, I'm looking at the floor, looking to see if I lost this badge or if it fell off. Nothing. So I immediately start making like emergency plans. I'm like, all right, let me call and see and call my the IT and let them know to cancel the badge so someone crazy doesn't walk in to work. And I had to call the White House, and they were like, "Oh, well, we have to check and see kind of what the procedure is with that." Still have not heard back, so obviously that's a follow up email this week. But not fun. But we are getting a replacement badge, so
There
that's
you go.
cool. But somebody's walking around DC right now with a lot of credentials. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Rocking that DJ badge, yes.
They rock it. I mean, they're deactivated for security reasons right now, so that's good. But yeah, no, they're walking around with pretty high profile badges. So that was my week in a nutshell. It stressed me out for a couple of days. Not gonna lie to you, but yeah, that was not fun. It's not fun at all. I'm telling you, when you lose stuff, like especially like keys or stuff like, and I am notorious. I will lose the slightest things. That's why side story, and we'll move on. Um, my girlfriend, I lost my wallet one time in DC.
Oh
And my
man.
girlfriend had to give me like one of those trackers that you use for like a dog tag. She's like, put this in your wallet and don't and like literally, this is gonna be how you find your stuff because I'm telling you, once I get going and once I go, it's easy for something to slip out my pocket and I may not know. So it just kind of slipped out my pocket this round. I had a lot of stuff there, my work phone, my actual phone, my keys, and I guess
Mhm.
my badge was like, that's too much and slipped out. So that is a
Your badge
story
was
of
like, "I'll help you out."
yep, yep. I was like, yep, see ya.
Well, I'll be
So,
excited to hear when, old Don replies to you from the White
oh
House,
yeah,
and
we'll follow
the
up.
update of if you're allowed to, go on political property
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah, yeah. I can at least still go on Capitol Hill, so that's a good part. My
Hey,
Capitol
there
Hill
we go,
badge
that's what
was
matters.
separate, so that's where I mainly go during the day. But the bureau badge, I'm like, yeah, I need to get that replaced. But we will follow that up next time we're on. So I want to introduce to you guys. We actually wanted to do this segment last time, but just because of time, we want to be kind of go with what we had. But we're going to introduce a new segment this week called halftime analysis. Now, obviously, this is where we kind of get into, our thoughts about specific sports topics that have happened throughout the week or something that's coming up that, we'll really be able to talk to and give you guys our perspectives on, right? And then I'm sure for you guys in the comments, if you disagree or you're like, oh, Kayla, oh, David's hating or, oh, fuck that guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, whatever. Like, we're all open to that. No, we're not hiding from the smoke. But, this is kind of where we're at. So, we got to start with this off season right now for the NFL, right? There is OTAs going on. There's going to be mandatory mini camp coming up this week. Correct me if I'm wrong, right?
Mhm.
So we have that going on. The old man finally signed with the Steelers, so that's good. He'll start Tuesday, and we'll have his AARP card ready to go for press conferences. But we're talking about the young guns, right? We're talking about those folks who just got picked up this rookie draft class in the draft and where they are currently sitting. And some rookies are making some splashes. And do you want to start with yours? Or do you want to go mine?
I'm happy to start, that's fine. I was just
Okay.
making sure I had all my notes on you, but yeah, so, looking at
Well,
this
not
was
that
David's
guy.
idea to talk about OTAs.
Okay.
Um,
There it goes.
but just some background, like, I am addicted to fantasy football,
Hmm.
and there is always a rando that I become obsessed with in the off season and just have to have on all my teams. So I'm pretty sure th and it doesn't matter if it's a one-year team, if it is my dynasty team, my keeper league, like, somehow this man is gonna end up on my rosters, or I will fight you and trade egregious things for no names. So, that guy, is Giants running back Cam Skattebo.
Shout
He's
out to
mine.
his name.
I
Shout out to his name,
yes,
first of all.
yes.
Shout out to that.
Shout out
What a
to
legendary name.
to him being an Arizona State Sun Devil. I got
Yep.
some family ties there too.
Mhm.
But and for anybody going, that's not his last name. It is because he jumped on Good Morning Football and specifically told Kyle Brandt that that's how you pronounce it, despite it not being spelled that way. So
Yep.
I'm gonna keep that right there. But yeah, he broke out in 2024 with the Sun Devils. He let's see, I'm trying to make sure I have my notes right. He had more than 1,700 yards on the ground, and he
Mhm.
added more than 600 yards on 45 catches through the air, which is better than a 13
Yeah.
yards per catch average. And so when you're looking at guys who will transition and are rookies in the NFL, first you want to look at landing spots, but you also want to look
Mhm.
at NFL comparisons. And Scattaboo is 5 feet 11 inches.
Mhm.
So I know that, he's broken some of Christian McCaffrey's records and been compared to Christian McCaffrey, but the most comparable NFL running back that I can think of after my research is Austin Eckler.
Mhm.
Um, they are only separated by 15 pounds and 1 inch because Eckler is 5'10. Um, and it wasn't that long ago that Eckler, so for people who don't know, is a long time San Diego and Los Angeles Charger, now entering his second year with the Washington Commanders. But with his time as a Charger, he combined for stacking his stats with not only rushing yards and rushing scores, but being a threat out of the backfield in the receiving game. So when he had 2 seasons where he was leading the league in touchdowns, 21 in 2022, or 2021, 2022. David can edit that, it's fine. His rushing and receiving total was 20 in 2021 and 18 in 2022. And this year, Scattaboo finished with 25 total touchdowns, 3 of those receiving, in his final collegiate year. And he was the first person since Christian McCaffrey to total more than 1,500 rushing yards and more than 500 receiving yards in the same season. And McCaffrey did that in 2015. The Giants post draft, straight from their website, they have Brian Daboll's talking about how he's tough as nails. You can use him in a variety of ways. I mean, you see Austin Eckler get pounded in his years playing in the NFL and just wrecked, no matter if he's coming out of the backfield to catch a pass or he's running through those lanes. They're really high on him being able in the passing game. He threw a touchdown in the college football playoffs.
I remember
He
that.
can catch,
Yeah.
he can run those routes. So you've seen all of those. He has really good vision, quick feet. This is something that the Giants noticed and why they wanted to draft him. But you're like, okay, well, why do I care he's going to the Giants? Well, the Giants don't have a running back because
They
they
don't.
let somebody with a small name of Saquon Barkley walk instead of re-signing
Yep.
him because they favored
So,
Daniel Jones.
just small guy. Some
Yeah,
guy.
because obviously paying Daniel Jones, who may or may not be on their roster anymore, was more
Yeah.
important. But they have Tyrone Tracy Jr., who is the starter who kind of emerged last year, even though
Mhm.
they had signed veteran Devin Singletary.
Mhm.
But it was interesting to me in the draft that Scattaboo went to the Giants because they drafted Tyrone Tracy last year. He's going to be 25 this year in his second year. And even though Singletary's a veteran, has multiple seasons under his belt, he's only 27.
Mhm.
So that tells me that they still viewed running back for whatever reason as an area of need. Um, so they signed Singletary. They thought he was going to be the dude, but then he got a little injured, and then Tracy Jr. ran away with the job for that year. Um, but Scattaboo is a different style than those guys.
Mhm.
He's physical, he's downhill, he's a get to the zone kind of back, something that Singletary doesn't fit, and neither does Tracy Jr.
Mhm.
Just that whatever you think of Scatterboo, Tracy Jr. does the opposite. That's the best way I can put it. Elusive, athletic, but not a bowling ball, not going to barrel over you. And so you have 3 different styles of running, but it's like which one's going to fit in the offense. Well,
Mhm.
first of all, it might just come down to contracts because they're paying Singletary $16.5 million across 3 years, and they can save, I believe, at least a little bit more than 6 million. I want to say it's 6.2 million
Yeah.
against the salary cap and a salary of 5 million if they get rid of Singletary. So I'm already
Yeah.
looking at Scattaboo jumping over him and starting the year possibly as a backup to Tracy Jr. But um, taking it a step further, like mentioning it was already what they felt was a position of need. Um, Tracy Jr. doubled Singletary's yardage total, so that just pushes him out, but he still averaged less than 50 yards per game. So when you start looking at the nitty-gritty of everything, you're going, okay, yeah, he did double the work and double the success that Devin Singletary did, but it's still not NFL caliber levels. So because they drafted this legit bulldozer, I feel like OTAs and minicamp are going to tell us a lot about who's the hot hand, or who's getting more first team reps, or what kind of plays are they dialing up to try out in these situations, and like who's seeing the most success and the most reps. And I really think that Scatterboo has the option, or not the option, but the chance to take over that leading role. And it might not be at the beginning of the year, but when you're coming up to picks 15, 16, 17, 18, or however many there are, late rounds, you're probably going to drop these guys anyway. So throwing a dart at somebody who could be a starter and not be in a committee is like the best gift that you can get in fantasy football. So I am going to be really caught up in that battle during camp. And just to see the first couple games of the year. So I am really looking forward to just seeing how that turns out.
One thing I'll say about this kid, though, I really liked him. I got a chance. I didn't see him much in the regular season, but more so the playoffs when they played. He seems like a very hardworking back. He almost reminds me of the throwback Giants, right? In those 2007 days where, they were just kind of a run first, kind of big, beefy backs. They're not going to really go for the home runs, but you chip away at a team 4 yards here, 3 yards there. Eventually, you're going to break the big run, and that's what I think you get with Cam Scatterboo. I think you have a guy that is a hard hat, bring your lunch pail to work. He's gonna get you those tough yards when you need them. And like you said, it's just a different pace. The role I could see him playing is kind of that support back that comes in. I think he has an opportunity to be the rotational back to start, and then you're gonna start seeing this kid flash a lot, because I think if Russell Wilson, who I assume is the presumable starter for the New York Giants, if he starts, him having a good running game is going to go hand in hand for what I think the Giants want to do offensively. And I just think that he just opens up the field, because I think he's a pretty good pass catcher out the backfield as well. And he showed that he's elusive and can make some guys miss. And he doesn't have the best breakaway speed, which is why I think he didn't go very high. But when you see this guy play, you can see the passion, you can see the grit, and I think that's going to really mesh well with what New York wants to do. And he's in a division, if I'm not mistaken, where the only team that really scares you in the box is really Philadelphia, because they have the horses to do it. Dallas, they're coming off a rough year in terms of their D line. The DC, they're a good defense, but they couldn't get pressure on the quarterback. So we'll see how that pans out. So I think this kid has an opportunity to have a 700, 800-yard rookie season, maybe about 5 or 6 touchdowns. And I think that's really, if you're looking for somebody that can help you as maybe a flex, or eventually like a second RB2, I think this kid can be one of those that can rise up the ranks, especially because we know running backs get injured. They're going to want to run more guys earlier in the season because it's a long season versus later in the season. So I'm excited about this kid. I actually am jealous he went to the New York Giants. I really wanted him to go to the Steelers, but I'm surprised he did fall that far. To your point, I'm like, wow, he was picked in what, the 4th, 5th round?
4th, yeah.
4th, yeah. So I was going to say, it surprised me. I thought he was better than some of those folks. I mean, outside of the kid from Ohio State, Judkins. I thought Johnson, okay, and then I knew that the North Carolina running back would go ahead, but I thought he was in the top. He was a top 5 running back at least. So it surprised me that he fell that deep to them. But
we have my cat trying to be.
The cat's trying to make an appearance. He's like, it's my turn.
Yes,
my turn. It's my turn. What are you doing?
Yes, this is Cross-Eyed Chloe.
Chloe.
You can follow her on Instagram at Cross-Eyed Chloe. Okay.
There you go.
Yes.
See? Shameless.
Hello, ma'am.
There you go. All right. So let's transition into to what is going to be talked about the majority of the summer. It's going to be this quarterback battle in Cleveland, right? You got 4 guys trying to go for one job. I'm curious as to how they're going to do it, but I've been seeing a lot down my timeline that Shador Sanders has been doing well on 707s. And mind you, I'm always kind of tempered when it comes to 707s because it's shorts and it's not you're not getting hit. You can make those reads, without the pressure because most of the time you're not going to get touched. But he's been getting some more opportunities, and Coach Stefanski says that he's really liked some of his production. I think he had one of the better passer ratings. Now, let me just preference, we don't know if this was first, second, or third team because we don't know how it was kind of being divided up right now, who's taking first team reps. From my understanding, it is Kenny Pickett and old man Joe Flacco, who seems like he's been in the league forever now. I mean, he was in there doing Ray Lewis years, so that should tell you how long he's been there. But they're getting kind of the starting roles, which you expected because they're the vets. They've been there, and Chador and the other kid is going to have to kind of earn their way up the ranks. But it's a lot of promise there. You've seen a lot of throws he's made. He's starting to create a lot of buzz throughout OTA so far, and I think this is kind of a prove it moment for Shador Sanders, right? If he does well in 11 on 11s this week during minicamp, we could see him start to kind of move up to second and third, teams. And I think it goes to prove his value as a quarterback. And I think, honestly, it pretty much forces Stefanski to have to make the decision as to, like, does this kid eventually start throughout the year? I don't think he starts at the beginning of the year, but if the Cleveland Browns stink, which I think we're all expecting it, just given the quarterback situation, we could see this kid maybe by week 7 or week 6 at the most. Because I don't know what you're getting with Joe Flacco. I don't know what you're getting with Kenny Pickett, and I don't think the Browns are completely sold on their higher draft pick at quarterback from Oregon yet. So we'll see. But I like Shador, man. I like what he's doing, and I think he's going about it the right way. He's put his head down. He's going to work. So that's all you can really ask for as a coach, right?
Yeah. I know that before David and I launched this podcast, we had an entire segment about the draft fall of Shador Sanders, and I am not sold. I think a lot of people are not sold. His college stats mirror Gardner Minshew. So my argument is always, were you going to draft Gardner Minshew in the first or second round?
Yep.
So do I think the media attention and family name had something to do with his fall? Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I never thought he was going to be drafted in the first round personally. I didn't think it would go all the way to the 5th, but
yeah, that's crazy.
It kind of makes sense because Gardner Minshew can't hold a starting spot. He's trying to get another one, but
traveling man.
I do think it's, since the segment is OTAs to watch and mini camps to watch, like, yeah, how are the Browns going to figure it out? And they can't rely on the skill set of Nick Chubb because he's signing with the Texans, is what came out today. So they have a lot of question marks, I think, and quarterback is obviously the biggest.
Hold on, Kayla. I'm gonna move you off stage and put you back on. You froze on me. Hold on.
No.
Let's see. Let's
what was
the
last thing you heard?
No, we can hear you. It's just kind of like your screen wasn't moving. I was like, huh?
I just froze.
What's going on?
Oh, no. I don't know.
Oh, we got Kayla and Black. Uh-oh. We can still hear you. That's the good part. So.
All right. Well, they don't need to see me. It's okay.
No, we want to see you.
What is wrong? I'm trying.
I'll remove you. Let's put you back on stage. You want to just leave real quick and come back?
Sure.
Yeah, you can come back. You got the link. I'll hold it down for a second. Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see how Shador does this year. I'm high on him because personally, I thought he should have went to the Steelers. I'm not saying he's going to be a superstar in year 1, but I think that it's worth noting that he could really come in and be a bottle of lightning for the Browns maybe by mid-year, maybe in week 7. So, we'll see what happens with that. And you're back. Yeah.
Hello.
She's back. All right. Listen, it happens. It happens. We just saw the black scrums. So I know IT person, but I'm always like, just restart it and come back is usually the answer. That kind of helps there. So you're good. So
Yeah.
moving on from Shador, we want to introduce a new segment. I'm gonna let you take this one because this is actually one of your ideas this week. So talk about this head scratchers.
Yeah, so we came up with the segment freeze frame. And it's kind of like what's the word that we did in the previous week, but we're each submitting a photo or two from some sort of sporting event from the that had occurred since the last episode. It could be controversial that already sparked a new story, or a frame we find that leads us into a segment. We can either react with a word or dive into a story about the frame shown and what happened ensuing that event. So that's freeze frame. And our first picture is we we have old traveling man Corey Perry. And just like the Florida Panthers and Edmonton Oilers preview that we did, this series has not disappointed. Both games have gone at least to the first overtime. But why am I showing Corey Perry when the Oilers lost game 2 most recently before this podcast? Well, he scored the latest tying goal in NHL Finals history. It was 17 seconds to go. Edmonton was down. This forced the game to go into extra periods, and it ended up being a Florida Panther win in double OT. But just you can see all of the Edmonton fans in the lower bowl behind him absolutely losing their mind despite them being blurred out. And his reaction to going, oh my God, I did this. He steps on the ice and gets it past Sergei Bobrovsky. And it was just, you were in awe. Like if anybody has watched the first 2 games, the way that Edmonton came back to win game 1, and then you thought they were going to do it again in game 2, but then, Marchand got it in the second overtime. But just the sheer, like, my mouth dropped, and I feel like that's the reaction probably across viewers. Mouth dropped when you saw how late Corey Perry tied that game up, and it's just been incredible to watch. I don't care that it's, part 2 of the rematch from last year. I'm just excited to see great hockey. I'm glad it's not going to be a blowout. This should go to 7 games, and I hope I can watch all of them.
I am here for I've been a casual fan, but we've talked about this series a lot, and I've got a chance to see the first 2 games, and let me tell you, as I'm just a casual fan, I'm like invested. This series has been crazy. The talent on both sides has been phenomenal. I think this is the most evenly matched final. So you don't feel like one team is kind of better than the other. I think you got on both sides. You have star players that can take over the game at any point. And to Caleb's point, I think this could go 7. I did see this goal. It was wild. I mean, when it happened real time, I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "Yeah." I marked out for a second. I mean, it was incredible just to see. Because I was like, "Oh no, it's over." But it just goes to show you got to play all the way to the buzzer because teams are able to come back. Anything can happen. My coach used to say it all the time: play to the final whistle, and till the game's over, it's never over. The fat lady was clearly not heard warming up yet, so she was somewhere kind of in Atlanta, stuck in traffic because the Oilers said we're going to take this thing to OT, and we're going to decide, even though it didn't go their way. But it's been an exciting series, and I think the series kind of does it go back to Canada, or was it?
No, the first 2 games were in Edmonton. They actually go back to Florida. So.
Okay, so we're in sunny Florida for the next couple of days. So I can't wait.
Where it's full of snow.
Oh, no, it's not. It's not. It's not. It's not. Look, so what's funny about this is obviously you picked the overtime shot, right? And we got to talk about this because this guy here has been the king of hitting overtime shots. Let me tell you what's so significant. I'm going to talk a little bit about it and get your perspective. But this guy has hit an overtime, not overtime, but a game winner in game 1 in each round of the playoffs so far. It's unheard of. It's never been done. I have to look that up so Michael Jordan fans don't be offended. I don't think Michael Jordan's ever did that before in his playoff run, but this has been one of the greater playoff runs we've seen in a while. Mm-hmm. And he hit one of the more tougher shots on the road in OKC. I don't think they were even favored to win the game. I think OKC were 3 or 5 point favorite. And I think OKC had the lead late in the game. They had an opportunity to end this one being up 1-0 on the floor, taking care of business, and the Pacers walked them down. I don't think the OKC Thunder choked. They still played very aggressively, but when you have a team that's making threes versus your twos, you're going to be able to catch up. And Halliburton has been that guy. I mean, look, I know everybody's kind of debating, is he a star or is he a superstar? Well, look, I'm going to say this. I think, he is definitely a star. He is definitely an all NBA player. And I think that he thinks about the fact he did not get the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. And I think that weighs in his head. And I think that he's going to play his heart out this series to prove, hey, I deserve that Finals MVP. I've been disrespected the whole season. They voted me overrated.
Yeah.
So which is crazy because I thought he was a great player last year, but I think this kid has an opportunity to really write his story for this season. And if he wins a championship and he comes back and he's on fire, I think then we can have the superstar conversation because he's the guy that is a closer. Clearly, when all else, they're either giving it to Siakam, but even the Siakam's deferring to Halliburton late in the game to go make a critical shot. And, that's superstar like to me. But, man, he's done this in every round so far, and he's getting ready to play right now in game 2. So we'll see what he does tonight. But he's been fun to watch. I mean, I've enjoyed him. It's almost like Kobe, like what he does in the last seconds of the game. So that's what I appreciate about this shot that he pulled off in OKC's building.
Well, just like David saying that he's just a bystander watching the NHL finals, I pulled up the NBA finals and I have to kind of disagree. Oklahoma City choked that game away.
Yeah,
It was real.
yeah,
They had such a big lead, even going into halftime. I turned that game off. I was like,
yeah.
all right, well, if it's close, towards the end of the third, I'll turn it back on. It wasn't. And so, it just happened to be I was at work and no, I was not pulling up stuff on the side. I never do that. But yeah, I watched the end. I was watching towards the end of that game and they were up double digits in the fourth, still couple minutes in. And then, you're like, how are you not guarding them or how are you allowing them to even get the shot off? But credit, to Indiana. They were making some crazy, baseline
Hmm.
jumpers, whether it was beyond the 3-point arc or not. They just seemed to be more aggressive. They knew their back was against the wall. They've had practice in these playoffs of
Hmm.
being and needing to do exactly that. And
Hmm.
so when he made that shot, I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I was like,
Yeah,
"No way." And
literally text me Pacers. Like I read it the next morning. I said, "Wait, what happened?"
yes,
And I
exactly.
looked. I said, "Wait, how did they lose this game?"
Yeah, exactly.
Just like
How?
you, I cut it off. I was like, I guess OKC is just OKC's night. I mean,
I mean, they looked so strong and then they
yeah.
fell apart towards the end. And it wasn't
Hmm.
just because, they were hitting lucky shots, they were strategically
Hmm.
calling plays that I
Hmm.
wish NBA teams would do more of.
Yep.
But because you see the results coming, and I feel like Indiana is just, grinded into those plays this year in
Hmm.
the playoffs when they needed to, when they were down with their backs against the wall. So the fact that he hit again, I mean, there were so many of my coworkers who like I have cut back on my sports betting, but they didn't. And betting in real time, they're like, "Oh my god, I lost however much money." I won't disclose that, but
Man.
it's like because that's how much Oklahoma City was ahead. That's how
Yeah.
much they were dominating, and so
Yeah.
to see them be down 1-0, like what else do you have to do?
I'm gonna say it like this though, and to round this out, I think that we're watching a superstar in the making. I don't, I, it reminds me of what Anthony Edwards was a couple years ago when he was battling. You could see it, you could see like, oh, this kid's gonna be special.
Mhm.
I can see it with Halliburton. I mean, he had a performance against the Knicks. Guys, he had 15 assists with no turnovers. Like, that's so difficult to do.
Yes.
And to do it on that stage and where you have to win that game or else it's going to game 7, like, he's doing magical stuff and he's on a great run right now. And I just think put some respect on that man. What the Halliburton? What the hell like seriously, like he is doing his daggone thing on the floor, and if he continues to get this do these type of performances, obviously he'll be in the conversation for a MVP, yeah, most valuable player for the finals. So I think he deserves it. So
Yeah, I'm
we'll
I'm
see what
so
happens.
glad that you brought up the, most overrated player voting. Like, 1, why do you even
Crazy.
have that? That's like the stupid, high school,
Hmm.
the word is not coming out of my mouth. Superlatives. Um,
Yeah.
that, you have the standard list from the school, but then the popular crowd goes and makes their own list, and it makes it all negative. It makes you feel like you're a loser. And it's like,
Hmm.
why is that even something that's a topic of discussion that's even made
Right.
public? Why are you doing that to begin with? So I think, he feels some type of way, and I wouldn't say that he's out there trying to prove it to everybody who wrote his name down, but, he's like, "Wow, people view me as this, that's not me. I'm gonna go out here and do my thing." That's what I think
I
really
love
is.
it. Everybody loves a good underdog story for sure. So hopefully he does his thing tonight. And when this thing goes back to Indiana this week, we'll see what he does at home on his court. I got a feeling
Mhm,
he's going to have a lot of great runs at home and in the future. It's going to be a long series. I think it's going to go 6 or 7. I think both teams are kind of equally matched, but I just think that OKC made a big mistake even taking their bigs off the floor and trying to play guards. I think that's where they got in trouble because they couldn't rebound, and then Indiana was able to get extra shots, and then that's where you get in trouble.
mhm.
So hopefully they go back to doing what works for them. I know we're running short on time here. Did you want to go to our other topics of the night? You want to kind of leave them? What do
I
you think?
think ending on this would be really successful, so, we
Yeah,
can postpone the
definitely
other
do
one.
that. Just a couple of housekeeping things. So obviously, guys, we're folks that like to summer. So we have some stuff coming up. We have vacations coming up. So we won't have an episode next week. And I'll put a reminder out to the community. But we're gonna be thinking about some more segments that we want to add, and hopefully we're gonna have some other platforms. We're gonna try to feature this too as well. And we're just kind of continuing to grow this thing. So please follow us. I know we're going to eventually create a Twitter as well as a Instagram for the podcast more jointly. And obviously, we're going to continue to put out some segments and come back with some next. I know Kayla has vacation time. I have some stuff going on in life, but we will definitely come back. I probably have more to talk about too, because a lot of sports will have happened.
Mhm,
I know that there's going to be a lot more stuff happening in the football world to talk about as well.
mhm,
So
and hey, we might have some winners in the NBA or the NHL the next time we jump on, but
exactly.
yes, that's what we're here for. But that, I was kind of bouncing some segment ideas off of people, and the feedback that I got there, like, well, what kind of visual stuff do you have? So that's how I was kind of pushed in the direction of freeze frame. So
Hmm.
even though those people did not send me any still images, they did put the idea of making it visual in my head. And so hopefully when they watch this, because I know they will, uh,
Yep.
they, can give us some feedback on this. So I am looking forward to that. Um, and yeah, gotten a lot of positive reactions. I've had people at work go, "Hey, how's the podcast going?" Or, "What do you think you're gonna talk about this week?" So I'm like, "Oh yes, this is great. We are getting somewhere."
We're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. And obviously, we have not been canceled yet from YouTube, so that's a good thing. Full disclosure, we hope to keep it that way, of course, and be entertaining the best way we can. But look, guys, that is the episode for this week. We're going to catch you guys on the next one. We love you. We appreciate you. Comment, like, please subscribe. Tell a neighbor, tell a friend. After
Mhm.
Dark Spot Podcast with Kayla and David. We will catch you on the next one.